Building a D2C brand in India sounds like a product problem. The right designs, the right price, the right platform. But the brands that actually scale, they obsess over something most founders underestimate: the customer experience behind the product. Today's guest is lives inside the problem every day. She's the product manager for new initiatives at Salty, a brand that went from 0 to 1 million customers in 2 years, cracked quick commerce for jewelry before anyone thought that was possible, and recently pulled off a full website overhaul mid growth that lifted conversions by 18%. Welcome, Sejal Mittal. Really glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really glad to be here as well.
So, before
Yeah,
we start, would you like to introduce yourself? What do you do at Salty and everything?
sure. So I'm Sejal. I handle product at Salty, which is essentially like for us, product is not a direct product that we sell to the customers. Comes under, at least in Salty, it comes under the buying side of product and selling the physical product to the customer. What I handle is the storefront, because there needs to be a storefront product via which we sell the commodities and the goods to the customer, which is primarily the website and the app. So that is
Yes.
something which I look into completely, which is the website of Salty and the app of Salty in its entirety, like the entire journey of the customer.
Amazing.
So
I have
this is
also
about.
read. Okay, thank you so much. I have also read about, while researching about you, that you studied marketing, worked in also fintech and edtech, and now you are a PM at a fashion jewelry brand. So, can I ask you what drew you to Salty specifically, and what does a PM actually do to a D2C brand that most people would not expect?
So for me personally, the whole journey was quite, I think, I would not say accidental in nature, because it took a lot of effort to reach where I am at this point in my career right now. But when I started right after my college in an edtech firm, and I joined there as the first few employees there. So when I started as an intern, became a junior manager, then a strategic alliance lead, and then a senior manager, and then a product manager. Like I got over 4 to 5 promotions in that 3 year period. Worked with them, and it was a small team, and we were scaling. We were exploring the whole edtech scenario, and we were scaling gradually. So I think the whole journey there was quite entertaining and very very fruitful, because I understood how to take any brand from 0 to 1. That is the stage the company was at when we left, like the whole 0 to 1 phase of a company. Post that, fintech was also actually a part of the same edtech company, because we were doing some sort of buy now pay later sort of model, where the aspects of fintech also got into places. From that, Salty was more of a applying journey for me, where I was applying to various roles and I was trying to figure out what is next in my career, because I had worked uh, more on a management side of things, which is more founders office kind of roles before, where I was handling bits and pieces and challenges from different places, like, different parts of the organization. So when I joined Salty, I actually joined Salty in a similar spec, which was new initiatives manager, where I was handling and actually understanding the whole D2C front from a employer point of view, from the back end point of view, where I was trying to figure out what are the different departments here in D2C, where are the gaps in different departments, how I could make it better. So I was taking pieces like that. For example, how to improve the logistics, how to improve or how to create more channels for sales, etc. So that's how I started with, and in 6 months time frame, I understood that product is one area, especially at Salty, where there's a lot of scope. There was no dedicated resources handling that. So I went to the founder one fine day, told him that, okay, I'm interested in product. Can you start, giving me more responsibilities with respect to product at Salty? And eventually I would take this up full time. So he said, sure. And I think that time Salty was also a very lean team, and I joined Salty in the early 2024. So that time we just got our, pre-funding stage, which was of 5.4 CR. So when we got to that stage, and I was the employee who was hired after that funding, the company was also scaling quite rapidly. So when we were scaling, there was also a lot of opportunities where you could contribute, and a lot of initiatives that could be taken at that point in time. So I would say right place, right time. And Jewelry accessories, I'm very, very fascinated with jewelries and accessories. Like, I am one of the top customer of Salty. Like, if I look at the orders right now, I have clocked in almost 40 to 50,000 of orders in the last 2.5 years. So most loyal customer of Salty. Like, I keep on exploring the catalog, keep on giving feedback to their team that, okay, I really like this product, this new collection was quite nice and all of that. So I think personally, jewelry, accessories, and other aspects that comes to Salty is something which really, really interests me altogether. Yeah.
Was there a moment early on when you were caught off guard by the JD of a product manager there?
For sure. Like, because when we started the role of product management Salty, like I said, there was not a designated person handling product. The founders used to, like, the founders divided teams amongst themselves, and the founder primarily was also working as a product manager, which most of the lean startups start with, right? Like you said, that it's a role where a lot of these companies do not have, and that's how it started with Salty also. We had
Yeah.
the co-founder who was also working, like, in the product side of things. So one, I think, very shocking, not shocking, I would say, but the whole journey was very unstructured to start off with. Like, there was no proper JD, no proper alignment in terms of what is it that is expected of me. So for me, I'm the person who works with very, very high responsibility and high accountability. So I was like, okay, whatever it is, if falls under my work, does not fall under my work, I would, like, look into it. As simple as calling the customers myself to understand where did they face the gaps in the whole process. So the
Yeah.
first, I think, the document which I wrote personally at Salty was calling over 100 plus customers, writing down, what were the pain points in the entire journey of buying a product, like wherever they felt, okay, this should have been there, or the material should be mentioned, or the price discount should be there, etc., etc. So all these pain points was something which I noted first before I went into creating a roadmap where, I would tackle all of these problems. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise, to be very honest. It was more like a experience to understand and actually deliver.
You are a very pro preparation kind of person, I think. That is what the
Yeah,
case here.
I
Also,
am. I
your
am.
role, yeah,
Sorry, you asked if I'm a pro preparedness kind of a person who likes to prepare in advance.
yeah.
Matlab, I would like to be, I would aspire to be for sure. I'm not sure if that's the case 100% because here, because it's Salty again, it's a very lean team in the sense that, an idea came into the picture and we want to execute first and see how the results are. So a lot of things are just, heat of the moment kind of thing, ki ye karke dekhte hai, yaar, let's just experiment with this, or let's see how it works and not works, right? So to execute all of these things, I
Yeah.
felt ki, theek hai, matlab, a lot of times preparedness won't help, right? Just going with the flow helps. So I would like to be prepared. I would like to schedule every minute of my day, but it does not go like that at all.
Amazing. That's a great work ethic that I would like to take from you, actually. Yeah. And your role is actually centered around new initiatives, right? So,
Right.
without, can you tell us, without giving away too much, that what does new look like for a brand that already has crossed so many platforms and categories? What does that look
Um,
for you?
so So, for example, new initiatives in terms of product is basically starting with any idea, right? So, any idea that comes into the picture. For example, if we take a goal in mind, that the goal is to increase the AOV. So, if the goal is to increase the AOV, then what are the steps that we need to increase the AOV is actually the matrix which I try to define first, wherein, like, I try to mention, okay, these are the things, XYZ things that could be taken as new initiatives in the company, which would in turn help in, like, increasing the growth and increasing the AOV. So it works from a back-end side point of view, right? First, there's a goal that we define, and then we work backwards and take those initiatives to achieve that goal. So that's how it is. And before it becomes a bigger piece for us, like, for example, if I implemented something and it's in a smaller nascent stage, the adoption is quite less. So ultimately, when it becomes reaches to a point where the adoption is quite big and can be given to one XYZ team member or a team to now take this forward, because now it has reached to a stage where one person dedicatedly is required to execute that piece. For example, I'll give you rapid delivery. So Salty wanted to obviously compete. The D2C side of things also want to compete to the quick commerce side, right? So we started the last mile delivery where we gave customers an option for same day delivery, next day delivery, 2 hours delivery as well. So to execute that, we started on a very pilot stage where I took this up end to end from understanding, getting the integrations done, showing this to the customer, the option to avail and adopt. Once the adoption became high, it went to another team who took this up in a more, you know, with a more SOP, more customized manner in that way. So it's like that.
Right. Does your work include data analysis or surveys before you actually decide what's worth pursuing as a new initiative?
So I would say we do see some data before taking up new initiative in the sense that, okay, what are the competitors doing? What is it that other product managers are doing in different industries, or maybe some brands are doing in the industry? But to be very honest, like to execute a fresh idea, there is not a lot of data points, right? So it is A/B test
Yeah.
for us. Like we test once, see the data firsthand, and then we see, okay, if this should be rolled out 100% or not. So we do not see the data so much before. It is more of an idea and more of a sort of thing like, okay, let's try and execute and see. And if it works out, then it goes to 100% of the audience. So it's like that. So we see data much after rollout, and in between
Yeah.
every day,
Okay.
like we track the data quite consistently, but not so much. Data does not gives us good insights before, because sometimes nobody has
True.
tried that idea. You don't know how it would work, right? So from that point
Yeah,
of view.
definitely. Okay, understood. Very okay. Now, Salty hit 1 million customers in, I think, 2 years, right? So, from the
Right.
inside, what's the one thing that actually made that happen, according to you? Product, pricing, or distribution? Or there's something else that.
I would say it's the overall brand. It's it when you talk about the overall brand, I think everything comes into the picture, right? The product needs to be very good so that the customer wants to buy it. The product needs to be affordable so that our target audience, which revolves around Gen Z and millennials, are able to purchase it. That is the second thing. It is also about like the kind of audience now we're getting is like they want something which is cool. The whole experience should be better, and customer support is the biggest thing, right? So one sense of like giving customer the entire support they need in terms of being in touch with them, initiating their return exchanges is obviously one side of things, and also keeping them updated about where their order is, at what point is it out for delivery, is it if the order is picked, packed, dispatch, everything, right? That kind of communication, those feels like a very small levers, to be very honest. Like those feel that, oh, every brand does it, but I think those are the things which, if you're doing 100%, right? Like if you have all the touch points, the price is good, the product is good, the experience of purchasing is good, post purchase experience is good. I think that in together with good marketing sorts of, becomes a good deal for the customer to like, purchase from you again and again, and also reach the first 1 million mark in terms of the number of customers.
Understood. Actually, that kind of growth is exciting from my point of view. Let's just talk about it. That kind of growth is very exciting from the outside, but I imagine that from the inside, it must create different kinds of pressure on everyone. And that is exactly where your product work comes in, right? So I had a question, a really interesting question, that in 6 months, you had 30 plus improvements and 18 plus CVR lift. Where did you even start? And what was the first thing that data showed you that genuinely surprised you?
So very honestly, more than what data showed us, what customer told us sort of took us off guard. Customers told the whole experience they had with the website or our app is not very good. And they kept on listing us reasons as to why it is not very good. Any new employee who joined Salty used to come up to me because they used to complain about, okay, this is not working well, this is not good, etc., etc. And any new employee in history of joining Salty has always come up to me and said, Sejal, website पे we could improve this, we could do that, on app we could do this, we could do that, look at that website, look at that app. And honestly, whatever problems they came up to me with was the problems I was already aware about, and those were a lot of issues. Like there were fundamental problems in terms of how the code was built from scratch, how the code was made, what are the jugaad sort of things that we did early on working at Salty, in terms of, okay, ye feature chahiye, let's just do some like work here and there and make it live. So something like that. So we did a lot of those things before. So I think more than data, the whole customer experience was suffering for us massively. And that's when we thought that, okay, this needs to be fixed once and for all. And that's how we went to the whole rehaul experience, where we wanted to do it with a CR in mind, which is conversion rate in mind. So
Hmm.
before we
Yeah.
went to the whole update of, how things would look at, we did multiple A/B tests. Like for every page, we did at least 3, 4 tests, tested every element. Okay, if this is here, how is it performing? If it's here, how is it performing? Something like that in a lot of detail. And after doing that, we did a full design rehaul. Okay, after, we know the placements now, where the element needs to be there. Now, how the design would look like. So I think features, design elements, and how the whole look and feel should be there was something which required an entire overall for us. So it was less data and more complaints that needed to be addressed with the whole revamp of the website. And I feel that we have done a pretty good job in the whole process. Like, the whole CR uplift is a good measure of success. Entire experience on the website currently is a good measure of success for us. So we are quite,
Yeah.
matlab, obviously there's long way to go, but what we were to what we came from was quite humongous for us.
Yes. Also, I had a follow-up question on this. What can you explain to the audience that what is actually a CVR lift? What do you mean by that?
Conversion rate optimization lift is basically if there is, for example, 10,000 people entering your website. Out of those 10,000 people, maybe 40% of the people will bounce the moment they land, because maybe they landed by mistake. They saw some ad, they clicked on it by mistake. They were not intending to get into it, etc., etc. So they would, the moment they enter without performing any action, they would just leave the website. Now, the remaining 60, or for example, 6,000 audience who are still on the website, few will only go through maybe 1 or 2 pages or 1 or 2 products. So, how many people go down the funnel? For example, how many people view a collection, to how many people view any product, to how many people add a product to cart, from cart how many people go to begin checkout, and from begin checkout how many people finally end up purchasing. So from the moment
Okay.
a customer lands to the moment finally there is somebody who is purchasing the product, we call it a conversion rate. Like there's a rate to it. So that's conversion rate. If it goes from example X amount to maybe Y, matlab X.2 amount or something like that, also, even if there's a small uplift, there is a huge, number of orders in
Yeah.
flow because of that uplift. So that's what we were able to achieve with the whole rehaul. That there was an 18% uplift in the conversion rate during that point in time, which was quite good.
Yeah, it does sound quite good. That is very interesting. Sejal, when a company like this grows as quickly, so systems worked that for the in the beginning, imagine yeah, you joined 2020, 2024 May. So
Right.
the systems that work that time often stop working, right? So can you tell us what was the one process or assumption that completely broke or exploded as you scaled with the brand, but the people outside would never notice it?
So I think various things. I think when we scaled, a lot of things broke in the sense that a lot of the things that we did were quite meant to be for a smaller, scale of orders and not for a bigger scale of orders. So, for example, very recently we launched something called Charms module, where we were giving customers, small charms, customizable charms, which they can add to any product and, buy together with it. So when we started with the whole module, the whole development was with an intent that, okay, the customer needs to see these are the 5 charms or 30 charms, out of which they can choose those 5 charms. Now, the whole, when we're scaling, the solution will not work because the customer needs, like, customer cannot apply any other discount coupon because there's already a small discount coupon attached to the free charms, etc., etc., right? So those are very small caveats that we look into, that, okay, the whole customer experience is breaking in the whole process. So how do we upgrade that? What are the things that needs to change? The product needs to come as a bundle so that ultimately the customer can also apply other discount coupons and buy other products with it. So those are the kind of things. I think this is just one very small example which I just thought of because I was working on it today itself. But in general, like we introduced fixed day delivery where the customer could choose this is the X date when they want their order to be delivered. So we introduced this whole feature. It took us 200 plus hours of development, and we flagged the feature the moment it went live. Like it went live today, and in 2 days' time, we just stopped that feature completely because operations were not being able to handle the whole calculation. Like we did the math, like we understood that okay, if the customer needs the order on 15th of February and the ideal tat is 2 days for the order to be delivered to the customer on 15th. So from our warehouse, the product should leave at 12th night or 13th morning. But the whole math failed when we actually went into execution. Like, you know, the tat from 15th to went around to 16th or 17th, something like that. Everything was not working as per what we were committing the customer that it would work. And managing logistics at that end is also very tough. So maybe for 10 orders, we could deliver it, but pan India for thousands of orders, it's quite tough for the operations team also and for us also. So the whole 200 hours of development went down the drain in a matter of 2 days, where we just thought that, okay, this feature is not something which we might be able to scale. So just like that, many failures which customers would not know, but we wanted to experiment and see if it works well for us or not. So just like that.
Understood. Let's move on to our next question. Sessions were nearly doubling when you were mid development. So, what did that war room actually look like, and what is the thing that you were most nervous about and you hadn't fully planned?
So I was just nervous about failing, to be very honest. The whole website crashing, failing, like, you know, because so for Salty, we have Valentine's as a very peak period for us. Valentine is a huge, huge period for us. And where, because the target audience is something which matches the products offering that we do during that time matches completely. The website was supposed to go live on first week of January, but because of delayed timelines, like not everything goes as per plan, so it almost got pushed to 20th January. The peak of Valentine already comes from 15th of January because that's 1 month from Valentine. So it was almost 20th or 21st of January when the company said, like, I was suggesting the company, let's wait till this Valentine is over. After that, we will go live with a new theme, the whole developed theme. But the company was like, see, it cannot be worse than our current theme. So let's go live and let's see how it works. If not, then we will revert back to the old theme. So my whole failure, the fear of failure for which I had worked on for like 6 months, and if there is any bug which is substantial on the live theme is something which is a huge problem. And that time the sessions were doubling, like you said, right? So generally we get X amount of sessions and it was like 2x, 3x. So obviously the order volumes should have been very high. So if any small bug is reported, maybe on a critical page, for example, like cart or checkout, or maybe during adding a product to cart, then that becomes a huge problem. Like 1 minute is also like sales loss, right, for us. So I did not sleep for 2 nights. I could be very honest. Like my whole thing was I was constantly looking at the heat maps. I was constantly looking at clarity. I was constantly looking at the numbers to see, like that night, the night we went live, we saw a very good conversion uplift. Like we saw like from a general 1 point something to, like, you know, almost 40 to 50% increase for that one night. So I was at cloud nine, but I was also very scared that, okay, it could be because the audience is good, like the audience is coming, like there's so many audience right now coming. So from a general number, it would be 30-40% higher. But I wasn't sure at all. So it was very, very scary. Everybody was like awake. All the founders were awake. All my team members were awake. The whole night we were tracking, then we just barely slept for an hour or so. Then we again went to office. The whole day we were tracking that, and everybody was reporting bugs. Like, because when you go live, like things that you do so many times during QA is working fine in QA, but on the live environment, it is bound to fail. Like something is bound to not work accordingly. But luckily, we did not have any critical bugs, which was like, you know, which would impact the customer to an extent that person would not be able to work. But there were bugs here and there which people were reporting, and we were like, you know, taking that up as we go. Entire team was like sort of alerted ki anything that you find which is abnormal on the website, please report. So like slightly abnormal, which you feel also, please report. So everybody was constantly reporting, and we were constantly getting the whole fixes done. It was a mad night. Like 2-3 days was mad. Then things settled down, and I think the whole revamp worked very well. And after a week or so, like the whole peak of Valentine came and went, and we did quite well in terms of what we were expecting.
For that situation to turn into a success, that might actually include a very strong built community that I think Salty has been
Sure,
successful to do that too. So I'm really
for sure,
interested
for
in,
sure.
yeah, inspired by knowing that ki Salty customers were also coming and out and telling you that, okay, we do not like this, please change this. That is very new to know from a brand.
Yeah, for sure. I think
Also,
as
that you meant,
yeah, please go ahead.
yes,
No, I
no,
was
no,
saying
you go ahead.
I was saying that as product managers, it becomes very critical because we are the ambassadors of the users ultimately, right? So it becomes very critical for us
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
understand like how is it going, what could be done better, what could be changed, etc. So I think that was something we were primarily focused upon, and understanding those gaps by actually talking to customer. There's nothing like it, right? If somebody's like talking to me for 5 minutes also, I like to ask them, okay, please go through our website, tell me what is not right, if you feel there is any changes, or if you have better ideas. Some ideas I just say goodbye Tata to, because I know we have tried that before and it would not work. But for a lot of ideas, I come across very interesting ideas just by talking to people. So I think that's that. Yeah, you were
That
saying
is very
something.
nice to know actually from a brand this honesty.
Yeah,
Yes. So you also mentioned that Valentine's is the peak season for Salty, right?
right.
And either ways, jewelry is actually really, really hard to sell online. Even I, whenever I go buy to buy jewelry, I am very suspicious of if this will be good or not. So according to me as a customer, I want to touch it, try it on. But what specific decisions do you make on the site to bring that physical gap and make someone confident enough to buy product from Salty?
So obviously there's always a lot of trust levers in the process of, buying anything online, right? So see, to be very honest, this market was not something we had to very deeply penetrate, because people buying from online stores like Myntra, Amazon, marketplaces had already begun. The whole revolution in terms of consumer behavior started almost like 10 years ago, when Amazon came into the picture, where they had to create those niche audience for themselves who would trust any brand to deliver their goods online to their house, right? So that kind of market started 10 years ago. So by the time we entered the market, at least for the audience we were dealing with, they were quite ready in terms of ordering things online. Now, when it comes to jewelry, that is one mindset in terms of ordering things online, not specific to jewelry, but any product. Now, when it comes to jewelry specifically, what sort of is the whole important lever for us is giving them the trust factor of, okay, if you are not being able to, if you don't like the product, there's a no question ask exchanges. Like you, and also no extra cost for you. You buy the product, you don't like it, you exchange it. We'll come to your house, we'll pick up the product, and we'll give it back to the company, and we'll refund you your entire amount. So I think that is the trust which we had to build on our website's front, that first of all, showing all the details of the product as much as we can, from material to size to dimensions to color to images to everything as accurately as possible, to help them make an informed decision. That was step one. Step two is also giving them a reassurance that, okay, if you still don't like it after you get it, you try it, you wear it, then we would still, we'll take it back without asking you any questions. Because to be very honest, if I tell you try on feature, right, a lot of brands have try on feature, but it, with the best try on features also which I've tried, it really does not give you a real expectation of how that product would look on that particular outfit, or in general. Like I personally, we tried try on feature a couple of times and I did not like it. Like I just feel it just slows up your website for no good reason, and it does not give you a lot of valued input in terms of how this will look. Like Nika introduced it for lipsticks, but the color was so different. So just like that, we just feel that, this is not something which would work out, but the trust factor that, okay, refund and exchange is possible, that is something we wanted to heavily enforce upon the customer. That's
An
about it. I
honest
think,
conversation pipeline. Yeah.
yeah, that was very honestly, like, I think, because apart from that, there are a lot of things we could do, but showcasing them whatever we have in the best possible manner is the best we could do, and also giving them an option to refund and exchange. Yeah.
That is amazing. From a brand, for a brand to do that, to be very honest with customers, that is actually what people would want now. So
Right.
I have heard a lot about the product from you right now. So, and I realized that you have fixed what was broken and made it very easier to buy for us. But now the next challenge is getting the right person to land on the site, right?
Right.
So and then find what they want before they leave. Especially when you're talking about 2000 designs and a Gen Z buyer with a short attention span, right? So your question is, you have had 2000 designs, 2000 plus designs actually, and a Gen Z buyer with 30-second attention span. How do you build discovery so they find something she loves before they bounce?
So again, to be very honest, product discovery is a challenge that we are solving each and every day with whatever efforts we are making on a daily basis, right? So first, very important thing that we're trying to solve is, like, how are we integrating, like the users to understand that, okay, this is just not that, do not scroll like beyond 10 products. Like, there are a lot of products there. So I think we are solving this in various folds. Like, there's a lot to do. Like, there's entire piece on product discovery which we are working on. So from starting with creating as many journeys as possible for the customer. For example, you are an audience, you want something in necklace for necklace, right? So first, my work would be to land you into a necklace page. Then amongst necklace also, you have different categories of necklace. For example, you have lead, you have choker, you have pendant, you have something else, XYZ, right? So now from that, landing you to that XYZ page is very important. Like, for example, if you as a user would want a necklace, then you would want a layered necklace. Then from layered necklace also, we have hundreds of designs there, right? So from there, what product will I show you first? So the very first filter you will see on top would be around gold, silver, and the colors of the necklace. So now I have brought you into a funnel where, from where you started, like, just from the product to the type of product, then from there to color, and then after which you now only see maybe 30, 40, 50 products on the list, which is very easier to scroll than bases your design. Now, on that also, generally customers shop from the product collection page, which we called as product landing page, where you see multiple products, right, together. So there also we introduced a feature where we are showing you have an option to see one product at a time, or maybe two products at a time in one row. So with that, the whole image of the product on your mobile becomes this big. So if it becomes this big,
Yeah.
it is easier for you to go through one, two, three, four, five products, right? So that is something which we are trying to solve. So funneling the customer to what they want to buy ultimately, or what they're looking at, because our category is very discovery centric, right? It is not very okay, I want Apple iPhone, I want iPhone 17 only. So in that case, I'm just exploring the colors of those iPhone because I'm very sure what I want to buy. But in our
Yeah.
category,
Yes.
customer needs to see the images, see the design, see how it looks, what is the material, what is the color, and then take a decision that, okay, this is the X product which I want to buy or not buy. So that is something which we primarily look into. Like, the discoverability is one part which is a huge, problem statement, and the solution happens in many folds. So funneling the customer to the right product, then ultimately what products I show you is different from what product I show anybody else living somewhere else. So we do demography wise demarcations, not on the price of the product, but on which product is
Yeah.
shown on top for you and what is shown for me on top. So maybe there will be 10
Yes.
X products which you would see on top, but I would see another 10 products basis on what the geography is, your preference, your affinity to the price points you're looking at. So we real time personalize the products as well. Now that is on landing pages. Now, if you go to the product pages, we also show you, for example, you are on a page where you see heart necklace. Then I will also give you recommendation for maybe a heart ring or a heart earring or something of that sort, so that you know, okay, I can pair this well with these two, three things in a similar design point. Or maybe gold, then I'll show you more gold options. So something like that. So it goes into a lot of depth, but yeah, product discoverability is something which is quite interesting and a very, very big piece.
Sejal, has it been easy for you to orchestrate website discovery for specifically Gen Z buyers because they know they really what they want? Has it been
For
how
sure.
has the process been for you?
So I think exactly this, right? For Gen Zs, if they know what they want, they would like to reach to that stage as soon as possible. So it starts from what we show
Exactly.
to the Gen Zs as well before they even come to our website. So the ads that they click on is something which is very important, or the um, like the campaigns that they see online. That is very important. That okay, this is the product I'm seeing. This is the product I'm landing to, because a lot of times when you see in Mintra and other brands, you see the ads, but you don't land to that ad. You land to a different product. And then you just feel that, okay, now I have to find that product which I
Exactly.
saw and we found, which is a huge hassle. So
True, true.
that's something we need to do from the very start. That this is a product you're seeing, this is a product you're landing to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yes. So as long as we've been
Amazing.
able
That
to achieve that, sorry, yeah,
yes.
you were saying
Okay.
something.
Understood. Uh, no, I actually also saw that you have recently leaned into men's jewelry as well. And it also contributes to 20 to 35% of the business. So when Salty decided to go after men, what on who really do not prefer jewelry, like Indian men, I don't think they go into the jewelry market that much. But when Salty decided to go after men, what on the product side actually had to change? Not just the new SKUs or the site experience, but when how do you talk to a male shopper? That's what I'm asking basically.
So I think very, very interesting question, very honestly. So when we introduced the whole men section, I think what we thought very, very initially was, okay, men would not resonate to purple so much, which was our brand color. They may resonate better with maybe more masculine colors like dark blue, black, dark purple, something of that sort. So I think that's the very first thing that we did at that point in time before launching the men category. Like we created a whole template in black, and then we said it wasn't actually black, it was dark purple, but almost as like, in the mobile, if you see, it would look like a black color only. So we created the whole templates in terms of black, so that that's the first thing. The photo that we shot was the images of the products that we shot had models in it, because for men it's very important to see how it would look. Like for women we can envision how it would look on
Definitely.
us, but with men they cannot envision how it would look on them. So for them it was very important to have model shots for them to envision, okay, this is how it may look on me or something like that. So that's something we really catered to. Price point was obviously something which we in Salty in general, the price point is quite affordable. So we did not have to work too much around the price point, to be very honest. It was more about the aesthetics that we wanted to show. And we launched limited, like I would not say limited, we started with 500 designs only directly with for men. And we did it for every category. So that, like, when somebody is very nascent, a man who's very nascent into getting their hands on jewelry, they would not directly start with earrings or necklace. They will first start with bracelets and rings. So that's something we
Yeah,
promoted
definitely.
first. We promoted them bracelet and ring because that will give them a fashion statement, but that would not be very intrusive, and people would not come and comment them so much that, oh, you're wearing jewelry. They could become a beginner level, you know, buyers of the product. And then once they get more comfortable with jewelry is when they start wearing necklaces, the chains which has bigger pendants, fashion pendants, etc. And then earrings. So I think that is what we have observed over the journey, right? So like getting a men wear a bracelet and a ring is much easier than making them wear a earring or a chain. So I
Yeah.
think that's how we also flew into the whole journey, that it's okay. Let them start with a bracelet, let them start with a ring. And then, but we launched everything together because there were very, very good number of people who wanted necklaces and earrings as well. For men, we also introduced non-pierced earrings, so that you want to try a earring,
Yeah,
but you don't want the commitment of piercing your ear. So we started with non-pierced earrings as a proper category so that you can wear it without piercing your ear. So I think all of these thought went into getting these products on board. And honestly, India as a market, a lot of people might feel that they're not very ready to wear jewelry, but surprisingly, a lot of the people, especially in the men's category, they love wearing jewelry. Like, because they, except for clothes, there is no other way to, show your personality, show
exactly.
your style, right? So it's very important that belts and
Exactly.
wallets is obviously one part of it. Belts, wallets, watches. Now they also want more ways to showcase their personality. So I think it went to the market quite smoothly for us.
Did you have to deliberately push some of the products, or was it just all around working for you already?
I think a lot of the celebrities wearing our products actually promoted that so much for us. Like, if you look at a lot of these Gen Z reality TVs that come into place, right? Most of the
Yeah.
celebrities there are wearing salty products. So, like, you could spot those
Yes.
products so easily that it becomes very fascinating for us also that, oh, everybody's wearing our products only. So, I think very honestly, not like promoting or pushing a product was not very hard for us. Like, the product in itself, because we had started with limited, designs and limited styling options only. So I think we learned as we go, like things which were working, we promoted, things which were not working so much, we demoted it quite a lot. And then we discontinued because style also keeps changing, right? So you cannot have one design for 2 years. So we keep changing, the designs keeps on getting refreshed. So I think it went well for us in that sense.
Understood. Amazing journey. We have talked about Gen Z buyers. We have talked about male Indian market of jewelry. I also want to talk about the outside the metro city, the tier two cities. Actually, a big chunk of orders are now coming from outside the metros. Almost every brand that I review always have this 20-30% of the products coming from outside the metro cities. So does the product experience actually reflect that customers, or is that still a gap that you're working on, and how difficult is it?
So I think in terms of experience from a website level and the app level, there's absolutely no difference in terms of a tier one city audience to a tier three city audience. The information showed to them is more or less similar. The only thing that we try to cater more for tier 2 and tier 3 is because that audience is a little more price agnostic, is what we feel. So the personalization that they get in terms of what products they see is, I would not say cheaper in nature, but there's a mix in the terms of the price points. We show
Yeah.
them higher price point, we show them lower price point as well, so that they understand which ones they want. And accordingly, we keep on customizing real time on their session as to, what products they might like, depending upon how they are clicking and interacting with the other products. So that's something that we do from a product end. Now, in terms of the whole experience of them receiving the end product to them, right? Because generally the tat for an order that you get from Delhi or Bangalore or Mumbai, the delivery is in 2 days. But when it comes to tier two or tier three cities, the delivery timelines of them reaching the product is little higher in
Yeah.
nature. So salty for most of its operation uses air shipping for us. So our delivery timelines for tier 2 and tier 3 cities is also less than 5 days. So I think on a overall level, we are catering
Okay.
to that audience quite well, because any website, the major problem that you would come across is you do not understand when the product would get delivered to you, or how long will it take. Will it come in 2 days or will it come in 20 days? Like, there's no surety. So from
Yeah.
a website point of view, we have made sure that for every pin code, when you could expect that product. If it's 4 days, you will see 4 days. If it's 10 days, you will see 10 days, but it does not go beyond 5 days to 6 days for us. And that's the clarity we like to give to every tier of audience. And secondly, when it comes to actually delivering them that product, we ensure that our TAT is as low as, like, 4 to 5 days for even tier 3 or tier 4 cities. So I think that's how we are trying to
Yeah.
build this, but this is a bridge that we cross every day. More and more hurdles come into the place every day, and we resolve it on a daily basis. So I think it goes like that.
I think I'm very actually very happy listening to this because I'm also from a tier 2 city, and for me to get an order was a hassle. It used to take months, and to know that Salty is trying to airship and also consider the tier 2 customers as much as they consider the tier 1, that is very interesting and really really nice to hear actually.
Yeah, very honestly, so tier one contributes to obviously 40 to 50% of our orders, but tier two, tier three also contributes to
Yeah,
the remaining 30 to 40%, right? So that's a market we do not want to disappoint at all. And the purchasing power of that market is quite high than, tier one sometimes.
definitely. So now we have talked about three different markets, three different customers that Salty cater to, that is Gen Z's, men's, and now tier 2 cities. Now the next interesting thing about this to me is the multiple channels that you are working in, and each channel according to me is basically a different world. So let's talk about how you actually manage that. So my question is, website, Blinkit, marketplaces, three completely different services, three different buyers behaviors. How do you even prioritize as a product manager when each channel has completely different user behaviors?
So I think as much as all the channels are interlinked and different in nature, user behavior actually differs from these channels to channel. Like for Amazon, somebody's looking for a very quick delivery. For quick commerce, even quicker delivery and last minute orders. For website, it's more planned in nature. Planned a few days in advance kind of orders that we get, right? So the user behavior for
Yeah.
all these three channels differs from, I think, more or less in terms of offerings, that variety that they would like to see. And secondly is with respect to, the timeline that they would want the orders to be delivered to them. Right. So that's the major levers here. To be very honest, at Salty, we have divided the whole company into three halves. One is the D2C, which includes website and app. The other is marketplaces, which includes Amazon, Flipkart, Achio, Nykaa, Meesho, etc. And the third is quick commerce, which includes Swiggy, Zepto, Blinkit, etc. Right. So for me, I actually primarily handle the D2C side of things, which is the website and app. And my prioritization and roadmap all falls under this. So I do not have to at this point worry about how Amazon is doing or how quick commerce is doing and how we should prioritize that, because currently it's nicely segregated into two, three halves in the company where my area of focus is only website.
Interesting. And now that you hear everywhere that there's a surge of quick commerce, every brand wants to be on quick commerce, Blinkit, everywhere, they're there. So do you think website is still really, really relevant in this age? I know that it is, but what do you have to say about it?
So I think website creates the backbone of the company. Okay. Like I have actually heard this quite a lot. Like, a lot of people now say that, okay, earlier website used to give them 100% of revenue. Now it's divided in three channels where website contribute to maybe 40,
Exactly.
50%. The D2C, the marketplaces contribute another 30%. Quick commerce contribute another 20, 30%. So that is the general, stats, which I also hear on a day-to-day basis. But I think from a branding point of view, right? A user would be more likely to buy from you on Blinkit or on Amazon if they've heard about your brand before. If your brand has a proper functioning website, if your brand is able to do good marketing on their D2C website, and I think also the number of offerings when it comes to Amazon or quick commerce, Blinkit will not accept 100% of your catalog, or Swiggy would not accept 100% of your catalog. They would only accept those products which has high, which are already your bestsellers. Okay, like which that if they launch in their platform would sell really well. Same goes for Amazon. Like Amazon works heavily on reviews. So if your product has very high
Yes.
reviews, very high intent, then that would maybe perform well, but not 100% of your Amazon products could have very good rating, because obviously Amazon will not prioritize. It works with all the brands together, right? So those are marketplaces for a reason. But when it comes to D2C, you get to see a lot of variety. You see so many product options, you see so many categories of products, and also the timeline for delivery for any D2C brand, obviously it varies, but for Salty, it is quite low. So, like, we try to deliver, we have options for same day, next day. We have options to deliver it to you in 2 days, 3 days timeline. That's the average without any extra cost. So, like, for any tier, like Salty's head office is based out of Delhi. But if somebody is ordering from Bangalore, in less than 2 days is when we deliver that order to them. So, I think when you get variety, you get good pricing, and you get, like, faster delivery. I think website would not die very soon if you're able to make your operations very strong, if you're able to like build the product very strong. So yeah, that's obviously the whole crux is still there, that is website still relevant. But yes, if you are a company which has 2000 products, Amazon is not going to show 2000 products, neither will Blinkit or Swiggy, Instamart, etc., right? So
Exactly.
I think website is needed here.
Understood. Totally understood. Now we know that that website is relevant because we have heard
Yeah.
from you. And also, my question was related to the launches that you do every other week, right? Now, Salty launches new designs every single week, but for someone starting a jewelry brand, that sounds highly insane to manage. Imagine I have an idea of a brand, then I want to launch it. And I have this pressure because Salty is launching every week. I have this pressure that, oh, I need to compete with Salty. So, how do I do that? How does that actually work operationally? Sourcing, design approvals, inventory, everything.
So I would honestly say that there is no hard and fast rule to launch fresher designs on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, etc. Okay, that's the very first thing which you need to get out of anybody's mind, that they have to do it. There's nothing, there's no must. There's always, like, there is an audience for everything. India is such a big market that you would find an audience to buy an empty cola can also, which is a DIY product, and you would find an audience to buy maybe a 10 lakh worth of purse as well, right? So I think India is such a huge market that any product that you bring to the table, you will have some audience if you're able to market it well. So the whole idea is, what is your product and how are you marketing it? So if you're able to promote your very simple product in a manner where you are able to showcase its utility, create some sort of emotional aspiration or some sort of emotional bond to that product, and ultimately sell it at a price which is, like, acceptable to the users, I think anybody can start anything. Like, that's my overall funda for everything, that India is a huge market. Nobody will take your share of things, you are not taking anybody's share of things. There's a market for everything. Like, I saw a very small Shinchan toy which people are.
Yes. So, yes, Sejal, as we were discussing, that Salty launches new designs every week. And for someone who is just starting a jewelry brand, it sounds insane to manage. So, how does that actually work operationally for you? So, you were talking about it. Please continue.
Yeah. So very, very honestly, the very first thing which I would say, that there's no hard and fast rule where somebody needs to launch fresh designs every week. There is no rule book to it. Like, my only, I think, the mantra in life is, India is, like, if somebody is working or starting a business in India, India is such a huge country with so many billion users that chances of any audience, anybody who.
Okay. So, we're talking about the for someone starting a new jewelry brand, how does that work? Launching a new design every week, how does that work operationally for you?
So, to be very honest, there's no hard and fast rule where somebody needs to, launch fresh designs every week. I think everybody works on their own pace, and, what is the product like.